Hello folks, I'm going to show you a gaming system that is for a tabletop style game, a pen and paper game, like, if you've played old pen and paper role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons or Empire the Masquerade, with at a table with live people with pens and papers and pencils and dice. That's the kind of RPG this is. This is not a video game. And this works very well for those that want to play tabletop pen and paper style games online, which is my interest. So the window has been around a while, but for some reason it hasn't really caught on in popularity. Maybe because it's an indie game, it's totally free. Let's see, here's the URL. Let me expand this. It's MIM Games, and I'll put a link to that in the description, so you don't have to type it. So basically I'm going to go over some of the basics about this game, what makes it different, and basically, I've played games like Dungeons and Dragons and Vampire the Masquerade and Hunter the Reckoning. I played, as far as D&D, I played 1st, 2nd, and 3rd edition, and I played some Pathfinder. And I would get kind of frustrated when we would be having a nice story, we'd have good role-play, and then everything would come to kind of a crashing halt because we had to roll dice and resolve a conflict or what have you. This game kind of enlists the players to be more of a participant. It assumes that the players are mature, and that they're not going to take advantage of it. That their goal, just like the DM or the storyteller, is to have a nice story and roleplay experience, and they're not going to try to cheat the system or whatever. So some responsibility is given to the player to play their role realistically. The main goal is a good story. And I like to play in campaigns and games where the story and the role play is the main part of it. So let us get into this so I can show you how easy it is to learn this, because they've really simplified everything. This is probably the most important part of the system, is that they have this competency ladder. They use various size dice, D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, and D20, which most of you are familiar with, but they also use a D30. And if you play it online, you can usually generate that fairly easily. If you use physical dice, that's a little bit more difficult to get a D30, but basically, when you try to do something in the window system, then you will roll a dice. Now, the lower the number, the more likely you are to succeed. Anything that is a 6 or less is usually a success, although the storyteller can modify that depending on the context and the specific reason. So this is the competency ladder. Now, rolling a d4 means that you're incredible at it. It is the highest rung, and it's generally reserved for superhuman, supernatural, or godlike beings. So a normal human being is probably not going to have a skill or a trait at this level. Like if they're a driver, they're not going to be an incredible driver, because that would imply that they're superhuman or supernatural or godlike. D6 is very high competency. Probably the highest rung that a normal human being could achieve. This might, be an Einstein. If the skill is chess, you're Bobby Fischer. So that's a very high level of competency. A D8 is an expert. If you drive a car, you're an expert driver when you use the D8. Above average would be D10. This is, talented and skilled professionals. Average is a D12. That is the average person. If you're an average driver, or you're an average dancer, you would use a D12 if you were trying to do something with that skill. You would roll a D12 to determine your success, and if you rolled a 6 or less, you would succeed. If you rolled over a 6 and you're an average dancer, then that would probably indicate that maybe you tripped and fell on the dance floor. But usually, in a story, unless let's say it's a dance competition, but if it's just normal, the DM is probably not going to have you roll, because it's not important to the story that you roll. The dice will only be rolled when it's something that contributes to the story. So if you were dancing, you would probably only have to roll a dancing competency if you were in a dance contest, to see if you won the contest. And if you succeeded with your roll, you would probably dance exceedingly well and win the contest. Or if it was multiple players that were in the contest, the dice would be rolled, and whoever rolled the lowest number will be the one who won the contest. If you're rolling a d20, that means you're below average with that skill. You're just a clunky dancer, a bad driver, whatever. If you're completely unskilled, then you would roll a d30. If you're just terrible at it, maybe you've never done it before, but you're going to try. So that would be for the d30. And for most things, you just, if it's 6 or less, you've succeeded. However, if you're competing against someone and there's some sort of contest, then both people, whether it's an NPC or another PC, would roll, and whoever rolled lowest would win in a combat. Like the attacker would roll with his applicable weapon skill. If he was using a dagger, he'd roll his dagger weapon skill. And the defender would roll their agility die to see you know, if they dodged it or what have you. And whoever rolled lowest would win. Pretty simple. There's no armor class. There's no, you know, roll this and add strength in it or whatever, and then roll damage and blah, blah, blah. Just really simple. You know, of course, if you are injured, then you have health, and you would make like a health check, a health roll. And if you, you know, an average sort of punch or kick that lands on you might have a target of 6, and you know, a rifle blast to the chest would be, you know, a 1. So the storyteller or the DM would decide what the target would be that you need to roll under. So you know, to see just how much damage you took. If you know, if you were someone punched you with an average punch and you rolled less than a 6, then maybe it didn't do very much to you at all. Maybe you just shrugged it off depending on the number. Well, if you rolled over a 6, then you're like really hurt, and you know, once you're hurt, then you might have your health temporarily reduced. So if your health is average, a D12, and you have taken some damage in this fight, then your health competency on the ladder would increase. So instead of being a D12, you know, you might be a D20, you know, because you took some damage. You know, of course that would be like temporary until you're healed, whatever. But let's get on to traits. There are certain traits that pretty much everybody has, and so these traits you're going to, when you make your character, you're going to determine these. And now there's no dice rolling to determine your strength. You, the player, you know your character. You know how strong your character is. Are they average strength? Or are they exceptionally strong? Or maybe they're very weak. You're going to determine that because you're going to stay true to the role play of your character. So you will determine when you make your character, is this an average strength character, and so they're going to use a D12, or are they exceptionally good strength, you know, above average strength? Are they going to use a D10 or a D6, depending on how strong they are? And the same with agility, and we come back to the health and perception and just general knowledge of the world. And there are some other traits that are considered optional that I like to use is luck, just in case I decide that it's a situation where you can use your luck. And I also like to use a sanity roll. It's, you know, it's your mental sanity as opposed to your physical health. And you know, you know, you might have some armor. So let's say you are hit and then you might have to make an armor check. And depending on the type of armor, you would make your roll. But, you know, in my games, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of armor used, because, I mean, this is not D&D where you're going to be walking around in full plate mail with a tower shield and all that kind of stuff. And then there's wealth. Like, let's say you want to buy something. To determine if you have the money to buy it, instead of keeping track of every little gold piece or every little dollar that you have on a character sheet, which is bookkeeping. That's like, you know, who wants to be bogged down with that? You know, you want to focus on your role play. You want to play and have fun. So you just make a wealth roll. And if you succeed, then you have enough funds to buy whatever it is that you want to buy. And if you fail, then you realize that, you know, your wallet's empty. And, you know, so wealth has a place on the ladder. And, so next, I mean, we already talked about traits. Let's go on to skills. Skills be any ability that your character possesses. You know, it doesn't have to be, there's no list that you pick from. If you can think of it, then your character can have that skill. If you feel it fits that character, if it fits with the role play of your character, you know, whether it's, you know, driving, typing, computer skill, mathematics, cooking, you know, the ability to drink people under the table, or do acrobatics, or whatever it is that you think that your character has a skill with, then you would write that down, and then you would assign it a die on the competency ladder, telling us, okay, are you average? Are you very, you know, above average? Are you below average? Do you suck at it? You know, and you would assign it a rung on the ladder. And once you've done all of those things, and you've come up with a name and a description for your character, and you've written out a detailed background of your character, what sort of person they are, what their goals in life are, then you've done almost all of the work that's needed for the game. Because once you have all that, then when you play, you're gonna role play your character to the best of your ability, and occasionally, ideally, you would only have to roll dice maybe 10% of the time, because a lot of the stuff, it's going to be kind of obvious if you succeed or fail. So if it's obvious that you're going to succeed at something, the storyteller is not even going to ask you to roll for something like that. If they think that it's you know, if it's best for the story, if it's obvious that you succeed or obvious that you don't succeed, then you won't even have to roll a dice. I mean, who wants to have everything come to a screeching halt while dice are rolled and rules are looked up, and people, I mean, I've been in a lot of games where people argue over the rules, and you know, I'm just in those situations, I'm just sitting there like, can we please get on with the story? Can we please? So this is the most simple and easiest system that I've come across, and I need someone to play it with me now. Maybe that someone is you. If it is, then let me know. You can make a comment and let me know, or you can send me a message. And we'll discuss playing this online. I will run a campaign and we'll get to explore this system together. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up so that other people can find this video and so that it helps my channel grow. And subscribe if you'd like to get notifications of my other videos in your notifications. So thanks for watching. Bye.